Do you often feel bothered by loud noises? Maybe you get distracted very easily, or you've been told you were too sensitive? In today's podcast, I want to share with you what it means to be a highly sensitive person, some of these traits, how I learned to cope with it, and some reminders for you and other people who are not highly sensitive. I hope you enjoy this podcast. Share with someone if you know someone who is highly sensitive or someone who should know some of these things. And I hope you enjoy. Hello, and welcome to Empowering Women with Celeste. And today I want to talk about this trait of being a highly sensitive person, what it means, what is actually going on, and some tips and tricks for you if you are a highly sensitive person. So, highly sensitive person is a trait that was discovered by Elaine Aron. She's written a lot of books about being a highly sensitive person, so you can find any of her books, please go read them. But kind of bottom line is what she's saying, the theory is that 15 to 20% of the population, meaning everyone, are highly sensitive. And that includes animals. And that is also, like, in my personal opinion, before I actually read more about this, is that it's a survival instinct. There need to be, leaders in a pack. There need to be carers. There need to be some confident species. And then we need a highly sensitive people or animal in the pack, because what they're doing is that they're aware of everything, which means that if there's a predator around or something is happening or about to happen, they know, they will alert the others, and they will run to safety. So it's basically a survival instinct. So what's actually going on is that the nervous system is extra sensitive, which means that all of our senses are kind of heightened. We notice things that people or most others don't. All of our senses smell. We can smell something is bad. Don't eat it. We get sick. Maybe we die. Things like that are we are extra sensitive to that. So the nervous system is connected to the senses, which is eyesight and hearing and tasting and smelling and so on. This has been defined as a personality trait, but Elaine actually says that it's a genetic thing. I don't know very much about that, so I'm just gonna skip quickly and go to some of these things that you might experience if you are a highly sensitive person. These are mostly personal ones, but also ones that I have I have written because I've read some of her books. So, like I said before, basic level, it's about the senses, which means that noises and sounds are more intense for us as highly sensitive people because our nervous system is more sensitive, which also means that disturbances like around us, if there's a lot of people around us, a lot of things are going on, that also affects us more than it would a normal person. Very sensitive to light, that's one of my personal. Sensitive to like spices, if we're talking taste, it could be very sensitive to spices. So for many years, like the first better part of my life, I never ate. I actually got sick once from eating Mexican food, but I never really liked spicy food because my nervous system is more sensitive. So that might be one for you if you find yourself not uh, well, maybe you like the spices, but they just affect you too much. Maybe you even get kind of sick, or it's stronger than it would for a normal person. Your emotions, because now we've been talking a little bit about physical ones, but your internal system is also more sensitive, which means that you experience emotions more intensely, which means you feel more intensely, which is why you could you get more easily moved by watching a movie or seeing someone dance or listening to music. Also, like anger and hate and sorrow, you feel those more intense than a normal person. Which is this is for later, but if you're a crier like me, someone who cries very easily, that's a big trait for a sensitive person, because it's connected to this where your emotions are more intense. So it means that your nervous system is on emergency mode, I call it, because you're always alert, you're always aware of what is going on around you, what's happening. Like, I can always tell where everybody is in the house, or if I'm at a party, I know where everyone is and know what's going on because I'm alert, I'm just aware about it. And that's an instinct. That's not something I'm aware of it now, but I wasn't before. So I notice everything, I see everything, which means that I also see all the details. So a a strength of being a highly sensitive person is being able to notice all the details that everybody else doesn't. So if you're a highly sensitive person, that's one of your traits, and you should advertise that. I I watched a video once of a woman called Elena Herdikirchhoff something. You can look up highly sensitive people or trait, and she comes up. She did a TED talk about the strength of being a highly sensitive person. So if you feel like you resonate with this and you're like, oh, but it feels like negative on negative, go watch it, because there's some good stuff there. But getting back, some of like a daily thing is that I very easily get startled. So a trait for you that might resonate with you is like when the phone rings. When my phone rings, I literally get I can feel my nervous system like jumping, and I'm just completely aware and totally alert, like what's going on, and I get startled, which is why I always get in bed early. So I wake up before my alarm clock, because if I wake up to my alarm, my I'm gonna be completely like startled, awakened in that way, and that's not. Then my nervous system is like shaking, and that's not good. So it could be like when it rings or text, you get like, oh my god, what's going on? Like, you get startled every time. If you like few people, like being just only with one or two or very few people you know really well who has a low energy, that might be a trait, because sensitive people are not great with big crowds, because again, like I said, we notice everything, we are aware of everything, we're our nervous system is on emergency mode. So we get very easily drained being in big crowds, and we have a hard time like being present with what we're doing and the person we're talking to, because we get distracted by everything else. So we don't like, and we're not good in big crowds. Another thing is that energy affects you a lot, both from places, but also people. Like I said, we tend to like positive people because we're very affected by negative people. And low energy, that's uh, yeah, a calm energy. We're also sensitive to pain, both physical and mental, which is obviously because we experience it more intensely. So we're more sensitive to pain. We are also a little bit more affected by sugar and caffeine, and also hunger. Like, again, because we experience things more intensely, we get affected more. I usually say it's like everything you feel and sense and so on, I have double that. So round about that. Also sensitive to changes. Something that I personally experience is temperature changes. Like, I need a specific temperature. If it's a little bit too high or a little bit too low, I don't function, or I start to heat up, and again, that kind of distracts me because it affects me so much. Air, again, noise, and like it changes, physical changes, but also mental changes. We don't like horror, creamy movies and books because, again, they're very sensitive. So even though we know mentally with our mind that it's not true, it's just it gets too much in some way. So if you're not a big fan of that, you're probably highly sensitive. Another thing that I was very happy kind of to hear, and very surprised also to know, is that we make mistakes when we're being watched. So if you are on your job, or something, whatever it is you're doing, supervising, being supervised, you are more likely to make mistakes. And I know this for sure. Like, if I'm being watched, I make mistakes. And it's because we get so nervous, and we're afraid to do it right, and yeah, I'm not exactly sure, but it's a trait. So if you make mistakes when you're being watched, you're probably a highly sensitive person. And then I've written this: being affected by ugly environment, meaning being in a mess. If your room is in a mess, or the place you're at is dirty and messy, that affects you too because it's distracting to you. We're very prone to we like beautiful things and nice things because, again, we get affected by that kind of thing. And then we have high expectations, kind of goes in the line with making mistakes and being watched. So we're not good with conflict, and we're not good with being criticized because we kind of tend to take it personally. So if you have, and this is like uh, the internal ones, because I have the next part is the outer traits, the traits that you can kind of see. These are more the the inside traits that you know yourself. So the outer traits that people see is this: being too sensitive, being a crier. Again, that's me. I cry a lot, and sometimes I don't know why, and sometimes for these weird things, but we're very sensitive, so we cry more easily. And we also get very affected by stories and movies, like I explained before, because we feel it more. So if someone dies, we're like crying our eyes out. And if something, if it ends well and something happy, like really happy, happens, then we're also crying because we're feeling it so much. We are so into it. It also um, means that we are great empaths because we can feel people. We we pick up all of these small things from people. We can always tell whether a person is in a good mood or in a bad mood, or they're happy or they're sad, or whatever they need, their needs, even their physical needs. Because something I heard, or maybe it was something I read, is that when a highly sensitive person is saying it's too hot, or it's too cold, or we're hungry, or we need a break, that's the feeling of everyone in that space. So when the highly sensitive person says something, it's usually the truth for everyone, or it's about to become the truth. Because if it's when it gets too hot for the sensitive person, very shortly after, it will probably also be too hot for everyone else. So and then I have this easily to get distracted. That's also a outer trait, like people notice that because you're, and also your thoughts. So both, like, then you're looking at something, and then your mind is like, your eyes are going around, your head is like everywhere, and maybe even your thoughts, like you're one place and then suddenly you're 2 seconds after you're completely different way. So you easily get distracted. And then this uh, taking things personally. Again, I talked a little bit about that. So we can very easily do that because we don't like criticism, we don't like conflicts. We work best alone, again, because of all the other things I just talked about. Making mistakes. Like I said, we do that, and that's something that people notice. And then we are more reflective than most, and it we take a longer time making a decision, probably because it's so hard to kind of find our center and center ourselves. So if any of these traits examples resonate with you, you are probably a highly sensitive person. I just took a test this morning. I am 96% a highly sensitive person. So I know a little bit about what this is, but I'm not professional. This is just my personal. This is my life. This is what I live. It's constantly being shocked, scared, nervous. It's really, really hard for me to relax. Probably the same thing for you because our nervous system is like this. So a great thing, this is one of the reminders to you if you're a highly sensitive person, is to find a way to calm down your nervous system. Find some activity, whether it's going for a walk or meditate or listening to classical music or jazz or whatever it is. Find out what works for you and then do that, because it's important for you to also relax your nervous system, because it's constantly, almost, it's constantly on emergency, on alert. Oh, and yeah, back to this test. I've been searching a little bit around for a an English test. I couldn't find one specifically. Maybe you can. I didn't, but there are these traits where you can say if you have these, if you resonate with these, you're a highly sensitive person. So you can also do that. Okay, so back to tips for you. Take breaks. Take more breaks than normal people need and than you normally would, because again, like I said, we need this break once in a while to kind of, especially when we're working, especially when we have a full-time job, to kind of calm our system to and if you can, get into a room where there's no distractions, so you can close your eyes, you can put something in your ears if there's not quiet, but so you can kind of eliminate your senses, so to speak. So the less senses you have active by closing your eyes and closing your ears, the more calm you're going to feel. So if you can do that, great, but take more breaks. Do what you can to make your environment suitable for you. So again, what you can of eliminating noises, um, have a nice environment that you feel good working in. Whatever you can do, find out what works for you. Experiment. Uh, if you can, if you're working at a job or in an office or so on, again, maybe put earplugs in so you can still hear people talk, but so you don't have all the noise and all the distractions. Do whatever you can to make your environment a great place. And the next one is getting enough sleep. because, like I said before, it's probably really hard for you to relax. So you do need as much sleep as possible, at least 7.5, 8 hours a night. And then another thing is that prioritize your alone time. So make some amount, whether it's 10 minutes, half an hour, as much alone time as you need, especially if you work with a lot of people or at a place where you're surrounded by a lot of people and a lot of noise, then you probably need a little bit more alone time. If you work alone and independent, then you might not need as much, but prioritize some alone time. Again, preferably where you can cut off your senses, so closing your eyes and no disturbances, no distractions, earplugs if you need to. Again, remember rest, very important. Eat well. You know that if you don't eat well, your body doesn't function as good. So just eat healthy, eat good, listen to your own body. You can meditate, find a good meditation that relaxes your nervous system. And the more aware, because you're already sensitive, but the more aware you become of your body, the more you start to feel it and notice these signs, the more you will learn to feel into how, when is your nervous system calm, what calms it down, and then start to do that. So find a meditation or music or something that helps you relax. And remember that it's okay to make mistakes. I just wanted to put that in. So that was a few reminders for you, and then a few reminders for other people that you would like to know this, or you feel like they need to hear, or at least I feel they need to hear, is that we never want to bother everyone. We hate to complain, we hate to be the complainers. So when we do, please listen, because we do it because it affects us, and when it affects us, it probably also affects other people. The other, your colleagues or the other people in the room. Again, back to temperatures or noises or so on. And don't tell us that we are too sensitive, because yes, we might be very sensitive, but we're never too sensitive. We cannot help it. And then a little is a lot, because like I said, we experience things, we feel things twice as intensely as a normal person. So you can say that to them. Say, hey, I know you might not understand, but what you're feeling right now, I'm feeling it twice as much, twice as intensely. So a little is actually a lot for us. Even a little bit thing, a little noise, it's very, very distracting, very disturbing to us. Noises, emotions, and so on. Be flexible. Again, we get very easily tired, very easily burned out. So do what you can to, with hours, with, again, breaks, make the best environment possible for you. I do not work full time because I have just realized that it's not possible. I get so exhausted, I get so drained and so tired that I cannot work full time. So that's one thing I personally do to manage this sensitivity, because I know if I do that, it will just get downhill from there. But also I don't have energy for anything else, which means I don't have a personal life. I don't have a life outside of work. So that's why I cut down to part time. If you can, that's a possibility. And then you might think we are dramatic, or we like try to tend to take the attention away from something if it's a birthday or whatever, and we start crying. But really, we cannot stop. Like, it's really hard to control these emotions, and it's really hard for us just to feel it. So please be patient with us, and do not kind of shame us for it, or get angry with us, because we do not do this on purpose. Believe me, if we could, we would control it. And again, it's okay to make mistakes. Don't be hard on us. We're doing our best. Just know that when you're looking at us, we're making a lot of mistakes because you're watching us. So just don't, if you can. And then again, just go to YouTube or Google or whatever and search highly sensitive person, and go study it, go read, learn more about this, especially this. I talked about Elena Herdikar-Hoff. I think she's Russian. Go watch her talk. It's great. Another channel that I think is great is Psych to Go. It's on YouTube, and they make these great short videos on anything from highly sensitive people, introverts, and so on. But it's really great in this area. So go study, go learn, figure out your triggers. And even though we're all sensitive, it's different sounds that triggers us and bothers us, and in different areas we're sensitive. So find out what your sensitivity is, where it is. Okay, so with that, I'm just gonna say thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you learned something new, that some of it made sense, that some of it resonated with you, or maybe you can think of someone else who are like this. Again, go research everything you can, learn more, read her books. There are other people who has also written books on being a highly sensitive person. Know more about it, share it, and make it more known, because it's still a not very popular subject yet. We know about introverts and extroverts, that's kind of accepted now, but being highly sensitive is not yet. But it will be one day. I really, really hope that business owners, job, uh, yeah, what do you say, jobs, will start to take this seriously, will start to. I mean, we're very flexible. I am very flexible, but we would also like the work and the job place to be flexible with us. Because right now we are the ones who always have to fit in and settle in with everyone else. Because, yeah, that's just how the world is right now. There's no room for being a highly sensitive person. Anyway, have an amazing day. I can't wait till next time. Bye.